Welcome to Recovering Addict. I'm LT, and I'm an alcoholic addict. If this is you want to talk, go ahead.
Hi.
There she is. That's my beautiful wife. She had to go through that crap with me. She saw me a blackout drunk, had to drag me in the house a few nights, more than a few nights. She had to deal with me, all that kind of good stuff, So she's the Al-Anon. So if you are dealing with a drunk, if you're dealing with a druggie in your life, she's got your back. Anyway, if this is the first time you're watching, 2 times in my life I hit rock bottom. Early 2000s with meth, and then in my late 40s here, close to in the late 2000s, 2018, I got real bad. I was a blackout, fifth of night whiskey drinking, gallons on the weekend, blackout drunk, ruining my life, ruining my reputation, ruining my health. I got fat, out of shape. And then I had to check myself into a detox center. Then I went to an IOP for 5 months. 5 nights a week, 3.5 hours every freaking night, because that's what it took to get through this thick skull that I was a freaking drug addict, that I had a problem in here. I could remove the alcohol, but I still had the ism, right? Alcoholism. And the ism is what I had to work on. Tonight, we got a good show for you. We got a special guest, Chris, over here to our left, which is cool because we're like in live studio. This is so much cooler than doing the remote broadcast, whatever you want to call it. So we get to hear from him today. Teeter time at 8:20. We're going to talk about the raffle. We're going to have the kids show off their basket. Thank you for everybody who has been supporting us. And thank you most of all right now to Teeter for being the sponsor of this actual fundraiser. And that goes to support everything you see here to keep us going. And it's really impacting us locally that I can get involved here at SOAR and do what I'm doing with Dustin here and Frank and SOAR. It's awesome. So Frank and SOAR. So I'm going to let Fleece say what up to everybody in the comments. She doesn't have a mouse. Maybe I'll give her mine.
I mean.
All right. Who's first?
Just scroll through them. I'll yell them out.
Okay. Look at that. Teeter's the winner.
Teeter the winner. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. We're not going to send you chicken dinner. We got Merk in the house. Raylene, always a pleasure to see you. Who else? I seen that. Oh, there's you.
Merk and Teeter are arguing. Merk says, hello. What up, brother?
Fina, you seem new.
Fina Anderson. Hey, if you're new here, you know what that means. By default, you become the most important person in the chat. So let us know about yourself. Get to know us. We'd love to get to know you. Drop your sobriety date. Let us say what's up. If you don't have a sobriety date and you're dealing with somebody else, let us know about that too.
Michelle, shout out to Canada.
Yeah, so we were really contemplating your name me and Teeter were like, Michelle Hepel Levine Martin. Like, that is a cool name. It's a mouthful, and we love it. And thank you for buying some tickets.
Asia
in the house.
I know you're back there behind Teeter.
Kyle, what's up, brother?
Kyle. Mo, hello. Tiara
Barnes, what's going on? Got Mo in the house?
Yeah, we got Mo.
Sweet. Oh, there's Tyler Larson. Chris knows that guy.
Hey, Tyler. We got Desmond. Shout out to Australia friends.
Good day, mate. How's Des doing today? Did you get your donuts and your coffee?
I want a donut.
Candace says, good evening. We all have one more night here at the Sawyer house and headed back home to the Navajo reservation. 116 days sober. Shout out to Sawyer house. Awesome. Good for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But now the real world's going to hit you, okay? You got to get back into real life. So I hope and I pray that you have a really solid relapse prevention plan. And if you need help doing one, join one of our Zoom meetings. I'll read one of mine. And we've built relapse prevention plans together here at Recovering Addict. So if you want help with that, you got to work your program now, because your addict has been outside the Sawyer house doing push-ups, waiting for you to come out, and he's going to attack. Trust me, he's going to tell you sweet lies that you're just going to start to justify. So just be very careful, Candace. We're going to keep you in our prayers, and keep in touch with us and let us know what's going on.
Yeah, stay in touch.
What's up, Brad Lowe?
Hey, Brad. What up, y'all?
All right. Well, that's everybody. We got
for William.
Oh, William Cole just jumped on. What's up, brother? I haven't heard from you for a while. Just hit 5 years. Damn.
Congrats.
That's awesome, man.
Good job, man. Lish is in the house. Hey, Lish.
Lisha just pop in. Hi, Lisha. My fellow Utah. And Millie's here. Millie just walked in the house.
It's not 8:20 yet.
Just needed a hug.
She's like, it's got to be.
All right. Well, I'm going to let my special guest introduce himself, and we'll just dive into this, man.
All right. So my name's Chris, as you said earlier. I've been here at SOAR for going on 2 years, a little over 2 years, actually. It was like I came through the program originally in it was like June 2018, and I'd been in Utah for just about a year. I came out here, what was it, July 2017, and came out to do an inpatient up in Cold Creek's inpatient up in where is that? Up by Big Cottonwood Canyon, and essentially it was a good program. I learned a lot. Did sober living for a while. Then I was in it for about a year, relapsed, and then decided. At that point, I was still in sober living, and then came back. They were like, "Hey, you're gonna have to do something." And at that point, they'd met up with Dustin and gotten, at the war program when it was war at the time.
Yeah.
And I got into it, and it was whatever it was just something different for me. And to go back, all the way back, it was like 19 or so when I started using. And it was kind of same old. Started with like Vicodin, Oxycontin, everything, and then it progressed into heroin pretty quickly, and went through 12 inpatients.
Whoa.
Over about a 15-year period. It was like every year and a half, and dozens of outpatients. And I don't regret going to any of them at all, because I learned something. I took something from each one, but it was like I could never put it all together. I could never get to a point where I recognized a goal at the end, I guess, or I could never harmonize myself to the point where I could like learn how to deal with myself and existing as me, and then also be able to wake up every morning and just not use drugs.
Wow.
And
So you said you're not originally from Utah. Where are you from?
I'm from Chicago.
Chicago.
So yeah, I was born and raised in Palos Park, which is about 20 minutes southwest of Chicago.
You got anybody out there in Chicago? Maybe you ran the streets with this guy.
I don't know. I was kind of solo, but hopefully not. And then it turned into like, it was similar story to most heroin addicts, where it got out of control. And then, yeah, like I said, I came out here 2017.
And the purpose of coming to Utah was rehab?
Yeah, strictly rehab.
Okay.
And it had gotten, I'd run into issues at that point. I mean, you talked about 2 rock bottoms. I'd say I'd hit at least 2 or 3, maybe 4 or 5. I don't even know. I mean, several. And before I'd come out here in 2017, it was, I'd been arrested on my mom's birthday.
Here in Utah?
No, in Chicago.
In Chicago?
And I'd been arrested. It was April 28th, 2017. I got put on house arrest. Got off house arrest. I was still on Xanax at the time. I'd been prescribed Xanax, so I was still taking it after I detoxed. Got off house arrest, and then June of 2017, I overdosed.
Oh,
and
no.
I was dead in my room for, I don't know, paramedics like estimated like 20 minutes or something.
Holy crap.
Like a long period of time, where they worked on me for like upwards of like 15 minutes, and they couldn't find any veins or anything. So what they had to do was put a bone marrow stint. So essentially like an 8-gauge needle that they like they screw into your bone.
Oh my God.
Because the way it was explained to me, and like I don't know if I'm remembering it wrong or if I remember it correctly, but it was like, that's like the last like bodily fluid that's still flowing. So it was like the last chance to get me back. And then I got, it was
What'd they put in there? Like Narcan or
I think
something?
Narcan.
Really?
Yeah. I honestly, I never even asked. Whatever it was,
awake.
it worked. Yeah, whatever it was, it worked. And I woke up, and it was like, and I remember because I was watching the Home Run Derby. So whatever day that was in 2017 was the day it happened. And I watched, I think Giancarlo Stanton. And then that's the last thing I remember. And then I remember waking up in the back of an ambulance in front of my house. And at that point, it was like the very first thought that went through my head was, I have more in my room. I have more heroin in my room.
When you woke up?
Yeah.
Oh,
and I'm like, I'm like, all right, I'm good. I'm awake now. I can go back. And like, no, we're taking you to this, psych ward detox unit. So I went there. And then at that point, it was kind of like, I'd never overdosed before. Like through all the trials and tribulations and all the issues I'd had, which were many and frequent, I'd never overdosed. And I always like had this idiotic arrogance, like, oh, I'm not going to overdose. I'm not one of those people that would overdose, and
Yeah.
and then it caught me, and it caught me, and I woke up, and then, like I said, the first thing I thought about was going back and getting more, or going back.
I can relate to that one because the first time I got arrested, I was dope sick. Been doing meth for a year and a half solid every night. I went to jail, and when I woke up from being dope sick, I remember vividly where a bag was, and my goal was to get out of jail to go get that bag. That was the only thing on my mind.
That was literally, and that was my first conscious thought, and it's such a visceral memory to me because it was a good thing and a bad thing, because what it did was it opened my eyes once I was in the psych ward for because you had to stay for a day or two, and the weird thing is I this happened at whatever it was, 9 o'clock at night, so I didn't get all settled and everything until 11 o'clock, maybe midnight or so, where I was in a room, and I noticed that I had a lot of motor function issues from being out so long, and I was not hearing properly, and I was hearing stuff and all kinds of issues, and
How old were you about?
So this was what, 3 years ago?
Oh, this has only been 3 years ago.
Yeah,
since this event.
Since this event,
Oh,
it was 3 years, and like I said, whatever day that the home run derby was.
The home run derby. Okay, we
yeah.
watched that.
Yeah, so it was June, July 2017, whatever it was.
Not Big Poppy. That big dude won it though. I remember that
Yeah,
one.
yeah. So and I didn't get to see the end of it.
You'll never know.
And so it was and what happened. I'm sorry, what was your question? I completely.
So your age. So you're in
33.
Chicago. Oh, you were 33. So
33 at the time.
So in Chicago, let me just kind of do a little recap, see if I'm tracking with you. Age 19, you get into Vicodin, right? And you're all in Chicago the whole time, and you're on a 15-year run up until you're 33. And this is when you OD, wake up in the hospital. The only thing you want to do is go back home, get a bag that you know is hiding, but you're realizing your body's not working.
Yeah. And I started becoming conscious of it, and it starts to hit me. It was like I said, my initial thought was, I have more, but then it's the gravity of the situation starts hitting me, and it starts I start recognizing okay, my sister, and she tells me this too. She if she hadn't just stopped by my room at the time, if she hadn't and she says something just told her, normally she wouldn't have done that. If she hadn't just come by my room and seen me on my couch, I mean, I would have been gone, because I wouldn't have, you know what I mean? It was they predicted how long I was out. They weren't sure.
Right.
But, yeah, if she hadn't done that, and, and then I started thinking about that, and I don't know, like I said, the gravity of the situation hit me, and something hit me while I was in there. And then, they brought my family in there, because the place I'd been, which I'd been there 3 times previously that they took me, it doubled as a psych ward detox at the local community hospital. So what they do is they try to give you a little bit of treatment, a couple days, you're in there a couple days. So they give you some simple, basic kind of, idea of what AA and Anonymouses are, which I was already well aware of because I'd been to so many rehabs before. But you meet with a psychiatrist, you meet with a therapist, and then they brought my family in, and my sister came down and sat down, and she was she hit me with a lot of truth. She was super vulnerable herself, because at the time she wasn't struggling with drugs or alcohol or anything, but she was just struggling with issues of her own. You know what I mean? And she hit me with those, and she totally broke down, just sobbing, crying. And she's and then I came in and I saw you and I thought you were gone. And right now I'm thinking about it, and it just makes me, it just gives me emotions. But, and then at that point, it was really it was kind of a kick in the ass. And I was all right, I'm going to go somewhere. And unfortunately I had these epiphany moments before, where I was never dragged to rehab. I only had to go one time that it was court ordered. And the majority of the times I was at a point where I was kind of I thought it was a rock bottom, where I'm all right, I'm going to go. I don't want to be living this life anymore, but I don't know how to stop. So this time it was kind of a big group effort from my entire family, because my family, my extended family, had all known about it, but they you know, all they knew was I would disappear for like a month for a 30-day program, you know, and they knew it was like, but it was also kind of secretive. Like my immediate family didn't share a lot of details, but that night my mom had called everybody. So like when I got to the,
they thought they were losing you.
Yeah. So exactly. So it was like a breakthrough moment.
Wow.
And when I was already awake, but when I was wheeled into the emergency room, because I was in a side, like kind of a side hallway. And then when I was wheeled in the emergency room, like a lot of my extended family was there, and they all came in and they were just like, what the fuck? I mean, they were like really supportive, but they were just, you know, it was shock. It was like fear. It was anger. It was all the emotions.
Yeah.
And whatever it was, you know, and then one of my cousins had somehow seen something about Cold Creek, which was weird. And then there was like another coincidental incident where like I was seeing a cognitive behavioral therapist after I'd been arrested. So like I started seeing a CBT therapist, and her name was Teresa Albini, who like I'm forever grateful for because she was amazing. Super, like she the night that happened, my mom had called her and she like stayed up to like 2 a.m. waiting for a phone call that I was okay. And then and then she had met somebody from Cold Creek at like a convention. So she recommended. So I had 2 recommendations for the same place in Utah, thousands of miles away. And I was like, all right, like, I guess maybe it's fate and maybe it's something. So, and then I saw the pictures online and I saw it was like a lodge up in the mountains. And I was like, absolutely, I'm in. I'm totally in. So, yeah. So then I went there and then, it wasn't like, it was standard in the sense where, you know, it was recovery based. It was like AA kind of based. They did some cool like experiential stuff and they did some other stuff. And then they're like, hey, we recommend, like I said, I'd only come out here. I was planning on going back, but in the back of my mind also, it was like, I knew I couldn't go back because that's what I'd done every other time was I'd go and then go back and have like, you know, this pink cloud situation where I'm like, oh, I'm good. You know, I'm cured.
The cycle of insanity.
Exactly. And then I went, they recommended sober living. And so I did it. And then I met some amazing people out here. I hadn't yet met like Wes and Frank because I was in sober living for several months before they got there. But I had met Frank soon. Frank and Wes, like April of 2018. And then the relapse happened June it was like over a couple day period in June of 2018.
Wow.
And, you know, I went through the whole BSing thing and I was like telling them my UAs were coming back dirty. And I was like, oh, it's, you know, it's like, I was eating poppy seed bagels and poppy seed salad dressing and like all
I
of
love
it.
poppy seeds.
Yeah, exactly. I was just downing poppy seeds. I was downing handfuls at a time. And then, so then finally I'm like, all right, you know, and then Rich, who was my therapist over there, who like, I love that guy. He's an amazing human being, just a compassionate soul. And I finally like broke down to him. I told him. And then, like I said, at that point, Dustin had already kind of entered the picture with war. And
Okay, I'm going to pause you there before we get into that part of the story.
Sure.
We are going to go. Where's the mouse? I lost my mouse again, y'all. Mouse wars. You know this is why Fleece gets fired, messing with my mouse, even though I gave it to her.
Yeah, you gave it to me. Okay.
But
So
it is
chill.
time to pull up one of the sponsors of our show. Teeter time! What's up, brother?
What's the kids?
Hey y'all, hey Chris, hey LT, El Felice, LT and El Felice. There you go.
I can
And
do it.
Joey and Wings. Hi y'all. All right, so we got our fundraiser going here for Recovering Addict tonight. I'm happy to say that as of now we are at $568.
Woo! Thank you, Teeter.
You said
And
more.
what it does is it covers it's a fundraiser that covers to help for the studio space, the electric, all the equipment that is used for the show, the community
StreamYard,
outreach,
Adobe Premiere, all that stuff.
yes, everything. And the tickets are $5 for one ticket, or you get 5 for 20 tickets. Excuse me. And we got 5 baskets. It's LT's basket, Felice's basket, Link's, Millie, and a family one. But tonight, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be focusing on Millie and Link's basket. So they're going to be showing off what they have at their baskets there.
So I'm going to show the pictures of Felice's basket real quick. That's Felice's basket, coffee, and a cool wireless speaker. Then you got the family basket, if this is what you want. It's got chocolate, coffee cup, and some trinkets and that You Are Strong thing. And then the coolest basket, of course, is mine. With recovery, we recover better together. 12-step workbook. Okay, fine. I'm grateful, and some speakers, and pens and pencils. If you really want to work recovery, you do want my basket. It's pretty obvious. If you don't, we know where you stand.
But if you need energy to do that, you want my basket.
But I'm gonna let Millie pull hers out and show off her basket real quick. All right, tell us what you got, Millie. Just put it on the floor and do one at a time. There we go.
I got a fluffy pillow.
I'm going to zoom in on him, Teeter. I'll bring you right back.
Then a pumpkin blanket.
Festive.
And then some candy.
Toblerone. It's my favorite.
And the coolest thing in there.
It's a Snuggie.
It's like a hoodie snuggie thingy. They're warm. Felice already has one. And I've slept in it a few times.
I think we've all slept in it.
And that was Millie's basket. Link, what do you got? He even wore a shirt, y'all, just to make sure he was in fashion of his basket.
Star Wars regal.
Got some baby Yoda love.
This is the way.
Got a phone holder.
That's a 2-in-1 phone holder charger. Who is that guy? Isn't he a traitor? I heard that dude was a traitor.
Is that Boba Fett or?
Yeah, it's Boba Fett.
Oh, yeah.
Got
He's
a Star Wars poster.
Cool.
Lightsaber. Coffee mug.
What's the coffee mug?
R2D2.
Sweet.
It says
beep boop beep.
Interdisciplinary automation. So yeah.
Sweet. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
So that's Link and Millie's baskets. I will bring Teeter up. He has an announcement.
Okay, so now that you guys have seen the baskets for them, oh, and you can also drop super chats in there, and I'll still add you to the list. So what we're going to do is I have 2 tickets left, and the first 2 people that share this video out and put Share Squad in the comments will win a ticket for the basket, and I'm going to be watching to see who gets what.
So explain how you ended up with 2 extra tickets.
We had a very generous person donate $20 for 5 tickets and told me to bless someone with it, so I did. And we are giving those away now. I'm not going to say their name because I don't know if they wanted me to say it or not, but
Right.
you know who you are, and thank you for that.
Yep. Okay, yeah,
So-
awesome. Yeah, so she did donate $20. She said 5 tickets. He's already spread 3 of the tickets out. If you share this video, drop the hashtag Share Squad in the comments. The first 2 to do that will get a ticket. Teeter's last 2 tickets for free in any basket you choose. Is that right, Teeter?
Yep.
All righty. So that's that. Teeter's going to be watching for the comments. If it's on the Facebook side, Teeter, I'll pop it up so that you can see it. Because I know you're YouTube and StreamYard right now. So we'll make sure you see it for sure. But that is the Teeter Time, the sponsor of Recovery and Addict.
And I'm ready for you guys. So once you start dropping those super chats, I'll be writing you down and putting you on the list here.
Yeah. All right, brother. Thank you. We're going to get back to this crazy story over here.
All right, I want to hear more.
Yeah. Welcome, Sandy Flores. Thank you, Teeter.
Sandy.
Erlena, welcome. Beautiful beginning. Shout out. We love you.
Oh, shout out. Love it. All right. So where the heck were we in your story on that one?
Man, I don't know.
You're having an epiphany. You wake up in the. This is what I remember. You wake up
Okay,
in the
good, 'cause
hospital.
I'm taking too much Xanax in my life. My short-term memory is terrible.
Gone. So our fried head. Oh, Teeter Claiborne. So you wake up, you have an epiphany. Your sister breaks down because her life was falling apart. It sounds like a little bit, and then she
Yeah.
finds you dead.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And then they wake you up. Then you, through a matter of like God shots in a sense, right, find Utah.
Mhm.
And I forgot the name of the
Cold Creek.
Coal Creek.
Yep.
I was gonna say Cobble Creek, but that's our dentist.
Nice.
Close enough.
What do you want?
The mouse.
Oh. Oh, Kyle, thank you, brother. $20 for Kyle. Team L. Yeah, you see, he's into recovery. He wants a freaking recovery basket.
Yay, recovery.
And now you're out here in Utah. You're in
Cold Creek.
Coal Creek. Cobble Creek's my dentist.
Okay.
Coal Creek. And you met Frank, you met Wes.
Uh-huh.
Dustin's starting to come in the picture, but this time you're bullshitting your failed drug tests and you're relapsing.
Mhm.
Is this where your relapsing got real bad?
So no, actually, it was the relapses because I was living in sober living at the time. It was essentially like 3 nights of relapsing. I'd met up with some people who I'd met, and being out in Utah, I hadn't known anybody. So all the people I knew were in recovery, which was really good for me for a long time, but obviously, the percentages of going through rehabs is inevitably you're going to meet some people who, don't make it. And it just, I happened to meet up with some people who didn't at the time make it. And in the back of my mind, I knew, I knew what they were doing, and consciously or subconsciously, I was preparing myself to go use again.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was basically like a three time issue where like I went out, I used more than 3 times in those 3 incidences, but it was like 3 nights of using. And they, through the drug test, they found out, and and then I just broke down with Rich and told him.
Are you running around Salt Lake at this time? Is that where?
No, this was actually in Kaysville. I was living in Kaysville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
so
I don't know where that's at.
Yeah, it's I was living at the sober living over on Kaysville on like Main Street, and I got caught up thinking I was doing what I was supposed to and being okay, but I still couldn't escape the mindset. I couldn't escape myself essentially, and they're like, okay, well, listen, we'll give you the opportunity. Instead of, they wanted to send me back to the 30-day inpatient, and I wasn't necessarily against it. I mean, I was against it in the drug addict's mind of being against any change. I was comfortable where I was. So, I used my the I don't know, manipulation and charm of a drug addict to explain to him that I didn't need to go back there. But it worked out, it ended up working out really well because they're like, well, then you just come back and do the outpatient. And at that time, like I said, Dustin had integrated into the program. So I got to go back and I got to start working with him and found the program. And it was like, it changed whatever it was. It was like, I think the main thing that it did for me was it gave me an outlet for those acute times. Because like I said, I'd been through so many places, I was able to identify acute instances of like, okay, I know I'm feeling a certain way, or I'm feeling a usage coming on. But a lot of times they were like these, deep-seated issues that I didn't address, but I could identify they were coming, but I never, through apathy or lack of patience or whatever, I didn't like address them in the sense where I would be like, okay, I got through that day, so I'm good because now I don't have that feeling of wanting to use anymore. But what I was able to do, what I was able to notice in the exercise portion of it, the spiritual program portion of it, it was like when I get those feelings of like squirreliness, I knew I had a tool that I could implement, that I could like go to the gym, work that out, get the natural endorphin kick, get the feeling of getting back to some kind of like homeostasis, and then like it was that, and then the process of being able to, starting to like kind of eat better, getting to the point where I was like, I don't know, able to live with myself essentially. And that's where it got me. And then it got me to this point.
Do you know Derek?
Oh yeah. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
What's your relationship with him? He's happy and grateful for you're in his recovery.
I met him over at Cold Creek's Sober Living.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was actually my roommate for a good amount of time. I don't remember exactly how long, but yeah, he was my roommate.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
That's cool.
I just saw him not too long ago. I saw him at a meeting. I guess it was a few months ago. It was like summertime sometime, but yeah, that's awesome. Glad
That's way
to see
cool.
him.
Thanks for watching, Derek.
Yeah, he's doing really well.
Awesome.
I mean, I really only interact with him through like social media and stuff, but yeah, no, he was my roommate. Me and him and Wes and my buddy Jim. Yeah, it was great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great environment. It was, and that was the thing. It was like I had all these like foundations, while I was there, and that was another reason why I didn't want to go to another outpatient, or I'm sorry, another inpatient. I didn't want to like uproot it, because like I did know I had these foundations of like being at, like I met a bunch of like Derek and, like I said, Wes, Frank, so many awesome people that like I'll still continue to talk to probably the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But it was, and I had that, I had like a support system around me. I was starting to kind of be cognizant of certain issues that I recognize would like kind of start boiling up and like getting me to a point where I wanted to use. And then, but it was always like, like I said, it was finding a tool that I could use consistently, something that I could go. And then, and this was it. This was like the thing that clicked, because I'd gone through all those places. I picked up these things here and there, but it was like I never had something that like focused all of that, and I still like, I struggle with it all the time. Like I feel like disjointed, where I'm like kind of scattered, and I wake up and I'm like, I don't even know. I'm so like lost in myself that I don't even know what I should go do in the next moment, or like I'll be talking to somebody and like having a conversation, but not there at all. And I'm thinking of what word I should say next instead of like actually engaging.
Yeah.
And whatever it is, like when I know that, in the sense where like I knew what heroin would do, I knew that it would just numb me and it would take away all that stuff. I know going to the gym, keeping myself in a certain level of health, and I mean, reading is like something that I like to do as well, but like it's more of the community. It's like the connection.
Yeah.
That's 100% what it is. It's not even like, I mean, there's a lot of, it's like a lot of nuanced things where there's a lot of other aspects of it, but it's 100% the connection.
Sandy says.
Sandy and Tyler.
Thank you. Love you guys. Love you guys too.
Oh, they're so pretty.
Yeah, T's awesome. Sandy's
Yeah.
amazing.
He was on the school podcast last Saturday. I don't know if you got to tune into that or
I
not.
didn't.
Tyler was.
I didn't.
It's pretty good.
I have to. I'm terrible about that stuff.
That's the one Dustin does on Saturday mornings.
Yeah, I did that. Well, it was before when it was the previous one.
You should come back on that one sometime.
I will. Yeah, definitely.
It's awesome.
I did that one. I know it was 2 years ago or something like that. It was crazy.
So what's your sobriety date then?
June 18th, 2018.
2018.
So Father's Day.
2 days after my birthday.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. That's my birthday present.
Yeah. Well, glad I could help. Glad I could be of service. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, that's it. Like that's.
So Cold Creek
was a struggle.
You're in and you're relapsing there, and they want to send you back to an inpatient. So Cold Creek was not. It was an outpatient.
It was an inpatient as well. It was like a full service situation where, you'd go to the inpatient and then I think I'm assuming like the majority of the people that went there, they would try to steer you to sober living just for like more structure, just to get more help, to meet a lot of people. If, I mean, there were, I want to say when I went there, like out of the 10 people that were in the lodge, like 8 of them were from out of town. So a lot of people didn't have that option, where it was just like they had a career back home or something, family back home, where they do the inpatient and then leave. But I was lucky enough where I didn't have anything like that was tying me down. And I also knew that it was from previous experience that going back to Chicago was not it. It was never it. It was even when I go there now, like I go there for a week and I don't know. How do I say this? I don't go there with like a fear of using or anything, or fear of that I'm going to fall back into it. But what I do notice is like a few days in, whether it's my like direct environment or whatever, or it's just the constant overbearing feeling, like I can envision a point where I get to like where I can be, fearful that I might. So I just know it's not the place.
So you've uglified it.
Exactly. Yeah, I've become aware of it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, built the awareness that it's just, I love going there. Like my entire family is basically there. I have a lot of friends still there, but I just tell them move out to Utah.
Yep.
I mean,
Way more better here.
it is. Oh, it's so much better. It's
in
not
Utah, we have a thing that says, the most annoying noise in the world, and you hear Jim Carrey go,
yeah.
but to Utahns, it's, hey, I just moved here from California.
Do you know Chris Hill?
Oh yeah.
Chris Hill,
What
what's
up,
up,
Hill?
brother?
He likes your hair.
Thank you.
Yeah, he looks gorgeous in this freaking picture, doesn't he? It's just like his eyes are shining. He's gorgeous. Jeez.
Oh man.
Lucky
You make me
feller.
blush.
All right, we're going to take a break from that here for a couple seconds or 5, 10. I don't care. Cassie can talk as long as she wants, but it is Cassie time.
Hold on.
Here she comes.
Ta-da! Wait.
You are on mute. Oh, yeah, you're muted, Cassie. My goodness. How long what are you? Is this your first
Sorry,
podcast?
did that look funny? I was going I knew she couldn't see what I was doing. That was your cue. That was your cue, Felice.
I don't do that part.
How's everybody this evening?
Doing awesome.
Good, how
Sitting
are
here
you?
with my buddy Chris. We're at SOAR together.
Oh, nice. Hello, Chris. How are you?
Hello.
Oh,
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. Hi, Linky. Hi, Millie Mill. What you doing?
Not a breath.
Why?
They ran. They heard Cassie time,
Okay.
so they ran in
Aw.
here.
Oh, I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Okay, so let's get to the quote. So my quote this evening is,
I'm going to put you full screen.
okay, ready? Difficult times often lead to beautiful destinations.
Ting!
Ting! I love you guys so much.
Say that one more time.
Difficult times often lead to beautiful destinations.
100%.
Oh wait, did I say that right? Wait, hold on. Now you're making me. Wait a minute. I think I got it wrong. Hold on, wait. I tried to do it without freaking writing it down. Gosh.
Hey, where'd you go?
Elsie, hold on, because I'm looking. I gotta find my quote. Never mind.
Best
Now I
Cassie
messed it
time
up.
ever.
Linky says difficult roads lead to beautiful destinations.
Thank you, Linky. That's it. That's what he said. That's right. All right. Let's bring it together. All right. And we're going to continue to spread that love.
Bow, bow, bow.
Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Oh, man. There's Cassie. Cassie, as always. Thank you for the super chats, everybody. Thank you for donating and all that good stuff. Man, I really appreciate it. This wouldn't be possible without you guys. And my recovery is completely sustained on your guys' shoulders, holding me up in the Discord, holding me up in the private Facebook group. If you guys have not joined, Felice will drop that in the comments. But you only drop it on the YouTube side, huh? Oh, no, you got Facebook right there. All right, never mind. Never mind.
Ye of little faith.
Yeah,
Y'all,
way little.
Part of our lives.
Sweet. So yeah, join us. Get to know us in the private Discord and the private Facebook group. That's where we can really get digging into recovery. I'm sitting here with my friend Chris, who had a crazy battle with heroin. We went through his story, and we are to the point where he has joined SOAR. He's a life coach here at SOAR, School of Addiction Recovery. This place is changing lives. Chris was would you say 15 different?
12 in 15 years.
12 different programs, right? That could not break through the ism of Chrisism.
Yeah.
But SOAR, there's something special about this place, you guys. And that's why I'm so happy to be here and work. But you want to pick up where you left off? And because I don't remember.
I don't remember either. Oh,
So I think you're just getting to know Dustin.
Yeah, well, it was just, like Kismet, I guess. It was just, meant to be. It was like,
Yeah.
it was sent by God, I guess. But it was, yeah, again, I did the relapse and came in the program. And I hadn't really exercised in the sense of like being in the gym since like high school and college.
Right.
Really. I'd never gone anywhere near a gym. And then it was like I got into it, and part of it was, when I first got here, I'm like, Dustin, talks about it all the time, when me and Frank both, like, we couldn't like back squat the bar. Like,
Yeah.
we couldn't even get down far enough to do the bar. But and then it was just then it had like it progressed pretty quickly, and I want to say like I saw Wes doing it, but I can't remember if he had started the program or not. But I'd seen a lot of what I had seen at that point was, because he was part of the program before they like fully meshed both programs, he was kind of using Cold Creek's sober living for his program exclusively when they were at the gym in South Ogden. And I saw what I would see all the time was like they'd get picked up, and one of the guys, Shane, was my roommate. And then I met a few of the other guys that were there too. And they'd pick them up at like 6:30 in the morning. And they'd like drag out of bed and be like, whatever, same, drug addicts in the morning. It's not a great scene, but then they'd come back at whatever, like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and they'd be in like the best moods. I mean, they'd get out of the van and just be like laughing, having a good time, when like the rest of us, we just, we're just sitting around smoking cigarettes,
Yeah.
drinking like coffee, doing whatever we do, just literally just trying to pass the time.
Yeah.
Not like experiencing life, just passing time. And like, I always noticed that, and I would always like, and in the mindset where you're like, you're insecure and fearful, so you talk shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these gym douches. And I'm like, what are these? Like, who are these guys? And then it would get like, and it would be, but in reality, it was like envy. It was like they're getting off the bus and they're like in these great moods. And then they go on these hikes, and I'd see like these pictures of
Is that something you had to earn?
No, well, it just, at that point, the programs hadn't meshed. So like I was living in sober living, but I wasn't going to, this was before my relapse. So like I was living in sober living, doing my thing, like still not using, but like still not healthy, still not living in any kind of like
not buying into no program.
Right. Exactly. And then, like I said, I'd see these guys and they'd be going on these hikes and stuff. And it just, at the time, it was more of like, Dustin was just, he had just joined them just to use like having somewhere where he could put people for sober living. So that's what they were really doing there. They were just, so we'd like meet up with them and like we engaged with them because like we'd have like the night check in and like we'd see them all the time. But I wasn't doing war yet,
Right.
And then it was the relapse. And then it was at that point, by June, they'd like kind of meshed the programs. And it was like literally when I was there that they like fully did it. It was like the very beginning of the outpatient, it was still kind of Cold Creek doing it, and then Dustin doing his classes of war downstairs in the barn they have over in Kaysville, and then we were like upstairs, or it would like it would change. And every time it was like the same thing. Like I'd hear them in the groups and they're having like a great time and like really everyone's great engaging while we're sitting there like looking out the window and just looking at the clock. I'm not saying, I'm not knocking the program at all, because like I liked it, but it was like there was like a contrast, like a very pronounced difference.
Yeah.
And then halfway through the outpatient is when they like fully meshed it, where like we all did it. We'd go like a couple times a week to the gym. And then after, it was like, once I got out of outpatient, like I started to catch those rewards, and I started to getting to that point where like I started noticing like I was sleeping better. and I still was taking like antidepressants and stuff. But then like I legitimately, that was like the first time since I was 18 when I started taking Paxil that I was like considering. I'm like, I don't think I really need an antidepressant. Like I don't think I really need any medication. So and I finally like started to do that. And part of the sober living requirements is that you had to go to meetings. And luckily the workout programs were counting as meetings at the time. So we just do that. Like me and Wes would go, or like whoever, we'd like take a bus down there, or like, you know, drive down there. And then I started catching that more and more. And I was still living at sober living at this point. Like Wes had become my roommate. Frank had moved out. Frank had started, when he came in, he went directly to war. He didn't start at Cold Creek. So I was kind of catching that, and he was my roommate. That's how I met him. And then we just like clicked literally the first night. Like we stayed up to like 2:00 in the morning just talking. Wow. So we were just like just BSing with each other. And so like we became friends immediately. And I noticed the same thing in him, like, you know, him just like changing his like psychology was, you know, his just whole mindset was changing. So I just like kind of immersed myself more and more, started going more and more. And then, you know, like got to a point where I just kept going to the program. And then it just turned into this, where it was like, I was already past the point where we moved out. It was like, we had to move out of sober living, and me and Wes were roommates at the time. So we're like, we're just going to find an apartment in South Ogden. And literally Dustin was like, he's like, what did he say? I forgot how he put it, but he's like, dude, move out to South Ogden. You know, he's always promoting Ogden. So he's like, move out to South Ogden, dude. It's like fucking BFF. We'll be best fucking friends. So I was like, so we're like, yeah, let's go. Cause we were already going to the gym.
Yeah.
And from Kaysville, it was like, it's like 25 minutes. It's not a bad drive, but and so we found the place where we're at now, the Seasons, and we just moved there. It was like right by where the old place was. It was perfect. Yeah. And then like transitioned into like the life coach thing, where we come, you know, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday. And now we're here. Yeah. Now we're at this intersection of life. So yeah,
so I want to stop you there. So he's got some scars on his arms, and I know the story to this. And I just want you all to know, just in case you don't realize how bad heroin got here with Chris and how bad it can get with you. And maybe you've even been there, but to show you that he knows what he's talking about. You want to tell us about your scars on your arms? Show them to the camera.
Okay. Yeah.
Look at this, y'all.
This is the bad arm. This is the one that's very prominent. Then this is the other one, which is still pretty bad.
Move your bottle.
A terrible fire, I guess. Or this one looks like a shark attack, which is what I usually tell people if I don't feel like explaining it. And the thing that's crazy is like, I tell people shark attack, and you know, like, I mean, how many times shark attacks actually happen where you think you'd get called out on it? People are like immediately like, yeah, that totally buy that. Looks completely like a shark attack. But yeah, so what happened was I started for the first, like, I don't know, 7 years of using. I had done it. I just sniffed it. So like I'd done it just through my nose, like the way you sniff it. And then I actually went through rehab and met up with this kid. And he was I tried to shoot it in the past. Didn't work because even from when I was young, I had issues with veins, like getting blood. I just had deep, like squishy veins, they weren't available. And I had tried a few times before where I tried to use it like IV intravenous, and it just never worked. And then finally this kid who was strangely was training to become a paramedic, and he's like, yeah, dude, I can do it for sure. And he did. And then it was off to the races after that, you know. And I got to a point where, you know, if I could find a vein, I'd find it and it'd be gone in like a week. And those went really fast. That was maybe like the first, I don't know, 6 months. And then after like only about 6 months of using IV.
When did you start using IV?
Let's see, 2013, like 2010, maybe 2000. It's probably 2011.
So you rocked some years.
Yeah,
shooting up heroin.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was pretty quick when I did start. Like it was within a year that I started like developing issues where essentially what it was is I would do what they call skin popping. So like intermuscular use, where you just jam it in your muscle and do it.
Yeah.
And you still get you get a high from it. It's not quite the same as IV, but what would happen was I would do it, and it would like form a little bruise. It would form like the size of like your pinky nail, like a bruise. And I would let it like I'd just keep hitting that spot like continuously, and then eventually that would die. Like the skin would die, and it would turn black, and then it would just like become dead necrotic skin. And I did that the first time over like a few month period, and I went, and this arm is like the remnants of that. This is both my arms looked like this one, where what they had to do was debride it. I had to go to like Loyola, University of Loyola Hospital in Chicago, where there's like this world-renowned burn doctor, and he debrided it. One time I went in, and he knew what it was for. Like he understood it, and they debrided it. I went into another inpatient, got out, started using again, started doing it,
shooting up in the same
pretty much same spot, because I knew it would work. I
Yeah.
tried everywhere. Like I tried my neck, I tried like spots, I tried like everywhere you could, and it would never work. So then after a couple more months, once I got out, I went through another inpatient, got out, started doing it again. Within like 6 months again, my arms got really bad, and I'm like wearing sweatshirts in July, and it's like it smells because it's dead skin. And then I went back to the hospital, same doctor, I can't remember his name. Went back to the hospital. He did the same procedure, debrided it, and then when I left, he's like, "Listen, you do this again, I'm not helping you," because he, it wasn't like he's helping people who have like severe burns, like people working on power lines that like had their entire body, stuff like that. And it was more of like, I think it was more of like he wasn't being a jerk. It was more of like trying like a kick in the ass.
Yeah, like come on, dude.
Right, exactly. And of course, that didn't faze me.
Right.
And so what happened was I went back after the second debridement, or after the second debridements on my arm. I went back and went in like really bad on this arm, because what happened was pretty quickly, because they debrided a lot of it and a lot of like my flesh was gone, I got to a point where like my tendons started to die on my arm. And so this hand, pretty quickly, I didn't have any of my extender tendons. I only had the flexors. So basically what happened was my hand became like a claw, because I didn't have the balance of the extenders. So it was only flexors working. So it was like this, literally. And I got to like, I was at a point where I was like debriding it myself, where I was just cutting it off, getting down further and further. And that went on for a few months. I remember one incident where I was on the west side of Chicago, pulled over. It was like 11 o'clock at night. I got pulled over. Cops knew why I was there. It's no other reason. And he pulled up, and these two like Chicago cops who like, they're in one of the worst cities, seen crazy stuff. They pulled up, and I'm like, I have a sweatshirt on. It's August, whatever it was. And he's like, lift up your sleeve. Cause like you could see there was like dried
Wet
blood and
spots
stuff.
and-
Yeah. And and I lifted it up, and like his face was like, what the, like literally like, what are you like? He's like, dude, what are you like? You're dead. Like you're literally a walking dead man right now. Like your arm, you need to get that off now. Like, and he could have like, instead of arresting me, he didn't arrest me. He just took all my stuff, threw it down the sewer, and like called his partner over and was like, dude, look at this guy's arm. Like you're fucked. There's like no hope. Like you need to go to a hospital right now. And they wanted to like kind of do that, basically take me to a hospital right away, but I didn't, I talked my way out of it. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. And then it was another like 6 months of usage probably after that. Cause I remember seeing that cop like 2 months later cause he gave me a ticket for whatever it was. And I saw him in the courtroom, and he remembered me, and he was like, hey man, he's like, and like, I did my best to look presentable.
Normal.
Yeah. And like, I was able to do it enough. I mean, at that point I was still like, I probably at that point weighed like 150 pounds or so.
Wow.
I was starting to get white because my blood cell count was like so low, and you know, I was just unhealthy. Went through that. He saw me, and I'm like, yeah, I'm good now. I'm just recovering, and you know, BS my way through it. And went another few months after that, and I was getting to a point where my tendons were dying, and they had been over like the whole course of this situation, and I was just pulling them out of my arm because they were dead, and it was like, it literally looked like beef jerky. Like, it was like, that's what it looked like. And I just pulled them out and like tossed them because I didn't even consider anything. And then, like I said, I would debride it. I'd just take an X-Acto knife and literally just cut it to get to another like fresh area that wasn't dead. And finally, what happened was, once I got to a point where I was at a point where my bone, like my bone was exposed. Basically, I mean, it was. I had like silver dollar size holes in my arm where black bone chunks were coming out because like it had gotten to a point where like I had osteomyelitis, where it was in my bone marrow. It was in my bone was infected. I had, what do they call it? The blood poisoning. I can't remember what it is, but so anyway, I got to a point where that happened, and finally, like one day I saw my mom, and she like saw my hand was like that, and like by some miracle I was able to hide it for like a long time, and she's like, move your hand. And I was like, you know, I couldn't, like I physically couldn't. And she's like, let me see your arm. And then she looked and like literally almost passed out.
Wow.
Started like sobbing, and she's like, you're like, and at this point I think I weighed, when I went in the hospital, it was like 126 pounds, 124 pounds. And like I weigh like 200 now. So like normal weight would have been like 180, 190. I weighed 126 pounds. I was like as white as that. Jeez. My skin was white. I went, and so we went to the hospital, and I wouldn't go back to Loyola because of what the doctor told me. So I went to the first hospital, and they brought me in. And I remember this one doctor who was like amazing. He was so like comforting, because at this point I'd gotten to a point where I was using every 15 minutes because I knew I was going to have my arm amputated. Like, it wasn't a question in my mind because of how bad it was. And I was using every 15 minutes just to silence the fear in my head. Wow. And I couldn't even, it was, like I said, yeah, it was every 15 minutes just to get to a point where I like, just to be able to continue like going on. And I went to the first hospital, and this doctor was like really cool with me, and he like basically laid it out, and he's like, we have to take it. And there's, you know, from the elbow, they're like, we have to take it. And I'm like, no. So I went to a second hospital. Same thing. No. I went to Loyola again because I was comfortable there. I thought maybe they could do something. And I went in, and the doctor and the burn doctor came down and was like, we have to take it. Like, he's like, you don't understand, that arm's killing you. Like, you have your blood's poisoned. If it gets in your heart, which like it could already be there, you're dead. You know, so they put me in the ICU for 5 days because my body was like on the verge of shock, and they wanted to take me. They wanted to do surgery, but they weren't afraid that I would die because of how bad a shape I was in. So they had to like put me in for 5 days and just fluids and antibiotics, vancomycin. It's like the most powerful antibiotic you can get. And they pumped me full of that for 5 days. And then finally they're like, okay, we're scheduling the surgery. So they scheduled it like 6 a.m. And the night before, like I begged him, the doctor came in, and I broke down, begged him. They had already been like coming in to tell me about prosthetics, fitting me for stuff like that. And I told him, and I was like, begged him, like last ditch effort, like, is there anything you can do? And he's like, the only thing I can think of is maybe I'll ask the plastic surgeon. So Dr. Van Devender, Durrell Van Devender, a guy who I'm forever grateful for, and I'll remember his name for the rest of my life. He came in at midnight, the night of, you know, so it was like going to be the day of, but midnight, the night of the surgery at 6 a.m. Came in, did some tests, like looked at it, took some pictures. And he didn't tell me this until I was already in the hospital and about to be discharged. But he's like, I stayed up all night because I wasn't sure if it was medically responsible for me to come in and not have it amputated. I found out on the being wheeled into the OR that it was not an amputation surgery, that it was going to be a debridement.
Oh wow.
Which was like the first of seven surgeries that they cut all this stuff out, and then it was like a 3-month hospital stay, and they did 7 surgeries where they cut everything out. Got to a point where I was stable enough, it started to like heal. Then they did like a big free flap from my leg, put it on my arm. And like I said, I was in there it was like 2.5 months. It was like the hospital bill was $1 million or something. It was some outrageous amount. And yeah, and it was just, it was wild. It was an experience that like, I still have very vivid memories of a lot of stuff, a lot of things like the wound vac that they would put on my arm. They had like this black sponge thing they'd put on my arm, and then they put that like Tevex, like that wrap, the plastic wrap to like keep it suctioned and airtight. And then they just had this tube that was sucking stuff out. And I have like vivid memories of when they would take that off, and I had all these like new nerves forming. So like they would peel it off, and I mean, I would have to change my sheets afterwards because they'd be full of sweat. And it was like the most painful, like nerve endings that aren't meant to see the like light of day.
Right.
And it was just the most painful thing in the world. But like, honestly, it was a miracle. It was like every like word you can imagine of the effort of the people in the hospital, that the effort of Dr. Van Dievender, the effort of all the nurses, the effort of my family, everybody, to be able to like, that I even have my arm, because like I said, they were fitting me for a prosthetics. Like as far as I knew, I was going in to have it amputated that night or that morning.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Yeah, it was a wild experience. Like, I still don't know if I like fully comprehend it. Like I'll like tell this story. I tell a story all the time, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's become kind of just regurgitation to me. Like, but then sometimes when I will tell a story, like I get immersed in it, and like it will hit me about like, and I'll remember certain aspects of it and stuff. But yeah, it was the wildest thing. Like they did, you know, it was a teaching hospital. So they had all the interns and all the med students and stuff that would come in, and like it was, you know, they did like a study on it. They did everything. And it was a wild experience. And the doctors, you know, I've been a doctor for 20 years. I've never seen anything like this. And then I'd explain like what I was doing. And I don't know, it was amazing. It was just an amazing thing. That,
do you ever tell yourself, like when you get a trigger or something, like I'll use heroin until my arms fall off?
Yes.
And that's like literally.
Yeah. Literally. Well, hold on. You see that little mark right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I did it again.
You relapsed after all the surgeries.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the surgeries, I went through it. It was September, was it 2013, I think? And I think it was 2013. So I was in the hospital from like August until November of 2013. I believe it was 2012 or 2013. I'm terrible with dates.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was still, you know, and like I said, what I said earlier about the rock bottoms, like you would think after being in the hospital for 3 months, and like literally, like I said, it was moments, it was minutes, you know, and the doctor, like Dr. Van Dieven, or what he told me, is like, I stayed up all night. The night before, I didn't call in to change the surgery until on my way into work at like 4:45 in the morning. Because he was like, I was worried it was medically irresponsible that I should do it or not, you know. And then the thing is I was in the hospital, and what they did was they did a deep vein, what do they call that, stint type thing, where they loop the like the tube into your heart, where they instead of like an IV, I mean, it was an IV, but it was like, I didn't have any veins, obviously. So they had to do like, it's like an ultrasound where they go into your arm and they go in like this deep vein, then like snake it through. And then it's like right here, just right above your heart. So like, it's an immediate, you know, and that's where they were putting all the antibiotics and everything. And they were going to send me home with that, because like I had to take antibiotics for like another several months.
Antibiotic drip. Yeah.
Yeah. And they were going to send me home with that. And literally, like, after going through all that stuff, I was in the hospital bed, like getting ready to get discharged, and I knew in next to me, I grabbed, you know, because it's not a syringe, it's like the thing where they just screw it on, and then one of those syringes. I grabbed a handful of those because like I'm like, and then finally one of the doctors came in and told the nurses or the other doctors like, this kid's a drug addict. Like you're giving him a direct line to his heart. And like that's like, exactly what I was thinking. Like he came in and then they're like, no, we're pulling that out. Like that's what I was thinking going out. Like I grabbed a handful of those, and then and that wasn't enough. That was like
that is insanity.
Mm-hmm.
Step 2, man.
Completely, and like I don't. And the thing is like I really need to like hammer down the story because there's so many aspects of that story that I. Like that I'll remember, you know, and like I said, I told it on the podcast, when I did the War One back a couple years ago, and there's so many aspects of that story. Like there's so many like hit or miss situations where, you know, it was wild that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
And like they'll come back to me every once in a while, or like when I'm telling somebody it'll just pop up. But yeah, it was like, I mean, essentially it was like a year and a half, or I think it was about a year from like the second time I went in the hospital. So the second debridement until the third, till this time. And yeah, there was just always,
you know, Jesse Beckstead.
Oh yeah. What up, Jesse?
Thank you for sharing.
Come back.
Wow. Sheree, she's in Australia. She says, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Another thing you guys may not know, but Chris is a comedian and he does skits and stuff sometimes.
Sometimes it's been a while. Yeah, that was actually so. I'd done some in Chicago, you know, but obviously out of my mind. You know,
yeah,
I open mic stuff, and that was one of the great things that happened when I came out here. You know, just discussing it like in groups and stuff. I just mentioned that I like to do. I'd done, you know, open mic stand up a few times, and when I came out here, one of the guys at Cold Creek that had been through the program and like worked at the program, he's now like an actual working comedian, and somebody at Cold Creek had gotten in touch with him and was like, hey dude, we got this guy who's like a comedian, can you do it? So he sent him, this was in 2017, this was like October 2017. He's like, yeah, tell him to go do some open mics, send me a video. So I went and did some open mics, sent him a video, and then him and another comedian came through, did the Addicts comedy tour at Wise Guys to like a full house, and he let me open for him for 5 minutes, which was awesome. It was
so cool.
The most amazing thing ever. Like, yeah, it was amazing. It was
you want to write a little 5-minute skit and come back one day?
Yeah, I will.
Awesome.
Yeah. I need that prep time. It was.
Do it right now.
Yeah, I know. That's
be
like,
funny.
Yeah, be funny. It's like, bro, you don't even realize the amount of like built-in anxiety I have just to survive daily. Like, there's no button. Like, it'll happen accidentally sometimes, but yeah, it's not like something. Yeah, I don't know.
That's awesome.
But, no,
Link does.
It wasn't. You know what I did? I just went up and told story. Like what I did was just tell stories about crazy situations I was in.
That's funny, dude. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you. This is amazing. Like what you've done just recently with this place is beautiful. I love, like I was just telling her beforehand, it was like, I love just the intimacy of it. Like it just goes, it's like the continuation of SOAR, like just the family vibe, bringing it in, like somewhere you can be comfortable. Like I'm always, like I said, I'm always nervous. And I was super nervous before I came in, but it's like, I was able to open up so easily, and I love it. It's just amazing what you're doing here.
Thank you.
Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm glad our paths crossed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, it's great. I love it.
All right, well, I'm going to bring Teeter on. We'll say our serenity prayer, and then we're going to bounce up on out of here. Everybody give some Chris love. Make sure you hit that like button and hearts for him. Share squad this one out, especially tell them to tune in. You know, send it to some kids there's some people that do heroin, some parents and stuff that don't realize how bad it can get or how well it can be hid. Make sure that this stuff gets out there. This is the stuff that can actually change and save lives, you know. Chris Hill says, what's up, brother?
What up, Hill?
We'll see you tomorrow night. Chris, we're going to have you on the show too. We can make it Chris and Chris because they're both funny.
Yeah, we can bounce off each other. Yeah.
Yeah, so make sure y'all share this out. So, all right, you guys ready?
Mm-hmm.
We're ready. Do this.
Who are we not?
Who are we not? Grant me the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things they can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. All right, y'all. We will be back. What is tonight? Tuesday? We will be back Thursday. Teeter, thank you so much for your sponsor stuff. You got anything you want to add real quick?
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring a ding that bell.
Right on. All right, until Thursday night, y'all, do not put yourself in a high-risk situation. Stay strong, work your program, and remember, we recover better together.
And this is just awesome.